Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you checking out the video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All appreciate it. But I don't want to waste any time. I need y'all to see this game and to understand that this is a game that I actually played as a kid on the PlayStation. This game is called T.R.A.G, Tactical Rescue Assault Group. It was known as Hard Edge in Japan. It's for the PlayStation, and it is a fever dream of a game. All right, so the thing with T.R.A.G is it's trying to be like a dozen games in one. So it starts off, you got this building that looks like it's going to be going into some Die Hard stuff going on with the Tokuyama building. And then you start playing it, and it looks like just they tried to mash every single game that they could think of that was popular at the time, all into one. Characters look like anime characters. The backgrounds are pre-rendered like Resident Evil. You're talking about all this espionage stuff like Metal Gear Solid. The combat is kind of like a beat 'em up, but it's kind of like a shooter. It's like Fighting Force. Like they're just trying to jam as many games into this one game. And the biggest issue is I can't tell what anything is. Like the save points look just like any other thing in the background. The things that hold items, so you can go up to pretty much everything and check it, which is kind of cool. But like key items are also in these just random spots, and you can't tell most of the key items are there. You just have to keep clicking on things or pressing circle on everything, which is weird because they didn't change the controls from Japan, from the Hard Edge version, which is the name of it in Japan. So it's still circle on everything, but when you're in the menus, it's still X because, it's an American version and we use X to confirm and not circle. So it's very confusing. Like you just have to run around with the tank controls, and they're somehow worse than Resident Evil, which was another crazy thing. And somehow they came out with tank controls and they perform worse than the tank controls, which are already bad. But some of the cool stuff, not to act like, this game is just all bad. For example, you do have to make choices where you send characters one way or the other. And depending on who you send, it changes the cutscenes and it'll change the dialogue between the characters when they interact. Because, if you send Alex upstairs through the elevator, that means he's going to meet the little girl and that Michelle's going to meet the other guy. But I did it to where I sent Alex up the stairwell. So he's going to end up meeting the guy and she's going to meet the little girl. We didn't get that far in the actual footage because, as you can see, the game is not easy to figure out what to do. Like they'll say we need to get to find the professor, which is like the main reason you're in the building, right? But there's no real indication that he's even in the building. And you don't know who this organization is that you're dealing with. The enemies look like, the robots look like they're from Mega Man Legends. The guys look like they're extra Resident Evil sprites that were reskinned. One of the dudes looks like a combination of Donovan from Streets of Rage combined with Lickers. Like, I don't know. It's all weird, man. I have no idea what's going on. But the combat is actually not terrible. Like out of all the things they could have did badly, combat's actually not one of them. Everybody has a bunch of different moves. You can press like different direction combinations and your character will do different attacks. Michelle's attacks with her knife are different than Alex is with the guns. And then you also have the guy using the fists, his attacks are different. And then you have the little girl who uses tonfas and kicks, and she has different attacks. So that part was pretty cool. The fact that everybody has their own abilities and ways of fighting. They even have like the beat 'em up style. You press the attack with another button and they do some sort of like get off me move that takes health when you use it, which I thought was kind of crazy. You can find items that increase your max health, which I thought was a pretty cool addition, right? It's not something that we see in every game, especially games like this. But it doesn't seem too hard to fight. Like every time I play this game and I'm fighting enemies aren't necessarily that strong. They're just weird. But they drop health all the time, which is something you can definitely say you don't see happening in Resident Evil. You kill a zombie and it drops ammo or health. So that's a little different. I think that's a bonus, but everything else after that is awful. And on top of that, voice acting, some of the worst that I've ever seen. And I'm gonna let you hear a few different clips of it because I just want you to hear what I was hearing back in like '99 when I played this.
No, don't think so. Wait a minute. He left this behind at the bar. You can have it. Maybe it'll come in useful.
And then having the pre-rendered backgrounds means that you don't get to change the camera. So sometimes you'll go around and you'll walk around the corner and boom, enemies right there in your face. And you're really not in a position to do anything about it other than try to like get them off you real fast. Sometimes enemies respond in the same areas you've been, and sometimes they don't. I don't understand the rhyme or reason for it. Maybe if you're on the right track, enemies show back up, but that's not true because I ran in the same hallway 3 times. And the first 3 times I went to the hallway, it was enemies. And then the last time I went there, when I figured out what I was supposed to do, no enemies. So I have no idea. They also go into like cutscene mode every time you get a new key item. But it's like, it's very unnecessary because they still do you picked up the item screen. And it's like, all right, this was, kind of weird. They pretty much took the Resident Evil, find the keys to open all the doors to get a little bit closer to the next part of the game kind of formula, which is kind of acceptable with the survival horror style of Resident Evil. But like in an action game where you're just trying to get through this building, it seems very tedious. And as a way to make the game longer than it is. I don't understand what their goal was with this game. I don't know if they were trying to sometimes I think this game is a parody. Like I honestly think that they were trying to make a parody of all the existing games. And then sometimes I'm like, no, they were trying. It just went really badly. I'd like to find out like the history of this game because there is no sequel. So I want to know I don't think it's sold well at all. I found this at a pawn shop for $10 to kind of give you an idea. So I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But to give it a kudos or, a pat on the back, the music is actually not terrible. So that was kind of a bonus. Fits the mood really well. It kind of changes depending on if you got enemies on the screen or not. So that was at least decent. But overall, it's, kind of lackluster. Puzzles are weird and nonsensical, so I kind of looked some of them up. I mean, you can kind of figure out some just by guessing, but the other ones, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Sometimes you find clues to puzzles after you've already figured it out. Some of the puzzles that are easier, and then the puzzles that are harder, it's like it's hard to find clues. So again, I don't know if this was just a product of not being developed long enough or what happened, but I thought this just was a crazy game, and I wanted to show it to see there were teams trying to do a bunch of different things, and in some cases it worked out well, and this is a case where it did not. But I always remembered this game for the crazy nonsensical dialogue and the trying to blend every genre into one. So I wanted to highlight that and show it to you all. So if you've heard of this game, by all means, let me know what you think about it. As always, be safe, have fun. Peace.